What up? This is your boy DJ EFN. You might know me as a drink champ, but first and foremost, I'm a proud father. I linked up with two of my other dad homies, Manny Digital and KGB, to start the Fatherhoods podcast. Each week, we bring you insider hip-hop stories, parenting, and advice and therapy. The saying is true, it takes a village, and we humorously serve as each other's trusted counsel in figuring out how not to screw up being a good dad.
The Fatherhood Podcast. Beats, rhymes, and diapers.
Yo, what's good, guys?
Welcome, fellas.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you weren't on last week, right? Or was that week before?
No.
He was on last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was on last week. It's the week before. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't keep track.
No,
Yeah.
was it? Was he on last week?
I feel like it was Dolo. I don't know.
Maybe I don't remember. Everything's a blur right now.
Yeah, I've been out.
Blur. It's blurry vision.
Yeah.
Yo, Sean.
So what's new?
I got a story if you guys want to hear it.
You got a story to tell? All
I
right.
got a story to tell.
Let's hear it.
So we take our kids to the Museum of Science out here. They have a new Museum of Science over by Bayfront Park. My daughter sees the gift shop when we walk up to the front of the museum before we go in. She's like, "Oh, can we please go to the and get something when we leave?" Da, 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 da. And we're like, "Yeah, maybe when we leave, we could probably get something. Go by and grab something." So we do the whole thing, and we're about to leave. We're with my mom as well, and we're gonna go eat dinner after. So we say, "Oh, we're gonna go," and then my daughter says before we say dinner, she's like, "Lunch?" And we're like, "No, mama, dinner." And I don't know why that triggered her. For some reason, that made her feel
You're
like
not giving me
stupid.
lunch?
Like it just triggered her that we corrected her that it wasn't lunch, that it was dinner. But it wasn't like, it was like super mild that she hits my wife.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, damn. Really?
She like swings on her, but like not playfully, like swings down
aggressive.
on her hard. Yeah. And we're like, yo,
Oh.
nah, kid. So then we this is when we're about to leave. So we're like, oh, hell no. So we start leaving and we're like, there's no gift shop now. And she's like, the gift shop. And we're like, no, you lost that right now. And she loses her mind.
Have you ever
Mind
seen her
you,
lose it like this before?
This might be the second time that she's ever done something like this. But even this has been more than she's ever done, I think. Mind you, there's a bunch of people walking around. There's definitely been a couple people that have said what up to me on some drink champ shit that are roaming around there. So that's a little awkward too. And so she's like losing her shit, doesn't want to move. Where we're at, we got to go down some like ramps to get to like the parking garage where the car is at. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, she's losing it. My wife can handle it. I'm with my mom and my son. So I think the best thing to do is keep it moving, is the way I was thinking. So I'm starting to just go down these ramps thinking they'll follow shortly. My wife, let's not make a scene. Let's get skedaddle my son out of here. My mom, let's move. I don't want my mom chiming in either.
Evacuate.
Whatever. So we just start. I'm like, let's go. And as we keep walking, I hear like, the mumbles of my daughter giving a little tantrum in the background. Get to the car, put my mom in, put my son in. I jump in, and I'm like looking back in the rear view, and I'm like, I don't see these people. I'm like, oh my god, what's the holdup? It gotta be bad if it's a holdup, because a couple minutes passed by. So then I'm like, I gotta go back. So I leave my mom and my son in the car. I go, and they're in the same spot. My daughter, as I get closer, I hear her. I get up. My wife at that point is fed up and just like, I guess, wants to pretend that she's just leaving my daughter so that she follows. Like she has no choice but. So she goes down one of the parts of the ramp, and my daughter does follow suit. So I'm like, okay, she's gonna move, but then stops at the other end of that part and refuses to move. And then there's people moving in and out, on the ramp, and they're like looking at this little girl having a shit fit And I'm like, oh shit, man. So I just walk up and I go, no, I call her down. She doesn't come. I go up and I just scoop her, start walking. But the thing is that she's not a baby anymore. She's in that age now that it's not a little kid that you can make sense of a little kid crying, having a tantrum. It looks a little bit crazier when they start looking a little older.
Yeah.
So it just looks bad. Like at least the way I'm feeling it must look like, she's being abducted.
Right.
So I scoop her up. I scoop her up. I'm
Is,
walking. She's
is,
fucking.
is she going nuts while you're holding her, or is she?
She's like doing now she's been crying so much that she's like she can't breathe. She's like like that type of shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh come on, man. I'm like, calm down, calm. I'm like trying to whisper, like, calm down. You about to lose your Nintendo. You don't want to lose this. You
Mhm.
calm. Like there's no like she's lost all sense. She's out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My wife is like, she hit me again, and I'm like, oh my God. So
You
then
hit her twice?
apparently while we were gone, yeah, she had hit her
Uh,
again.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, yeah, she made a scene. Everybody looked at her, was looking at us and looking at her. So and mine is at the end. We had a great, the thing was fine. Like that's the whole thing about these type of tantrums. Like you have a great day, and all of a sudden one little thing, and everything goes off the hinges. And so,
had she eaten at all?
yeah, she had eaten.
I mean, like, is she someone who gets hangry?
She does. She
Okay.
does. She had some snacks and stuff. But it was just, and this is where I like started contemplating like everything, like just the spoiled aspect of things. Like this is the one thing about my daughter that I will say, and I mean, I guess this goes for kids when they think like they have their heart set on something or they think something's gonna happen, and that shifts, that changes. They just like they don't know how to. Maybe they don't have the tools, emotional tools
Yeah.
to handle that. And she was dead set on that she was gonna get something in this gift shop. But my whole thing is like she'll lose her shit for this. Let's just say you reverse engineer this, right? You reverse it. We end up going in that gift shop. She'll get the item. It'll be that dopamine hit for that moment. And before the car even like is 2 miles down the road, that item is on the floor and forgotten about.
Yeah.
It's like it's just wild to me. But one more thing. So I'm telling her to calm down as we're walking, and there's like this couple behind us. And I'm like, oh my God, like it just looks crazy, dude. And she finally calms down a little bit. And I said, okay, you're gonna walk now because I was tired. So I put her down and said, you're walking. And then she did that whole stop. And then now it looks like I'm pulling her arms.
Ah.
And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, I'm like, someone's gonna call the cops on us.
Hmm.
So I scoop her up again, take her in the car, in the car, put the seatbelt on her. It felt like an abduction. And I even gave her a whole speech, which I think it might have been wrong for me to do, where that I'm trying to explain to her, that these type of things in public can people might think that you're being hurt by somebody or that we're strangers trying to take you, and they'll call the police, and then it'll become something so crazy that you don't even know, they'll take you away for a little moment, and then we gotta go and they'll separate us. But in my mind, I'm like, did I just give her tools to
Right.
leverage later on? We're like,
Aha.
yeah, I'm gonna do that shit to them next time,
Right.
like I don't know,
Yeah, you might have messed up. Yo, I had a similar experience when my oldest was like 5. Like
Well, she's 6, so we're
yeah,
right about there.
close. So we're in Kendall.
It's a Kendall thing.
Kendall
Killer K.
we're in Kendall, and we my wife and I, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we had decided like, yo, we're gonna go get her a gift. I forget why. She deserved, to have a gift or whatever. So we go to Toys R Us and we decided, yo, we're gonna get her, those motorized little cars that little kids can get
Yeah.
into. It was like a Barbie one that we had in mind, right? We didn't tell her. We just said, all right, we're gonna go let her, be surprised by it. So I have her like perched up on my shoulders. So, I'm holding her hands and she's sitting on my shoulders. And we walk in, whatever, and all of a sudden I just feel whap mad hard to get across my face. Smacks me. And I boiling.
Oh
I'm
man.
That's funny to me.
boiling. And yo, my wife, my now wife sees it, and I turn around to her, and I'm like, yo, I'm livid. I want to, my instinct is like to throw this kid. That's how pissed I am. So I set her down, and then I go, yo, we leave it. Turn her, like I'm holding her hand, and she thinks we're going into the store. Obviously, we just literally just walked in. So grab her hand, we turn around, and we go back to the car. And I'm not saying nothing yet. And then we get into the car, and my daughter's confused. She's like, what happened? I go, you think it's okay for you to smack me? And then, she kind of sits down. She's like, no. And I'm like, you just cost yourself a Barbie car.
Oh.
And she's like looking at her mom like that's a joke, right? And yo, till this day, she's like, I'm gonna buy one of those for myself one day. I was like, cool. And my wife and I, we was like, what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy one for the grandkids when they come around. And so it could be in her house, but she can't drive it. Cause it was such a I don't even know how to tell you, bro. Like you smacking somebody, like if your kid smacks you that hard in the face, bro, you question everything.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not with that.
So I guess is there a difference? Like, was she like play smacking you, or like it seems in the case of E, your daughter was pissed and hit your wife, right?
Right.
Yeah, in my case, she wasn't upset. She just got I guess maybe she thought she was playing, but the
Yeah.
severe the
Yeah.
it was one of those like you a bitch type of slaps.
I mean,
pow pow.
but let's be honest, your adult ego is making it one thing. Her child mind is thinking it another way.
100%.
So I don't know.
100%.
I don't know how to. I mean, I don't know. I guess you taught her not to hit, but she didn't mean it in a negative way. So it's like it's weird.
So E,
It's a it's a bad look.
did you get to the bottom of that initial hit of why she
No,
hit your wife?
she just said no, and then when we're telling her what was wrong about the whole thing, because things just went from bad to worse when she threw the tantrum. Like the hit we could have gotten past that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then the tantrum is just worse, and then she hit her again. But so when I'm telling her, trying to explain to her everything that's wrong, she's like, but it wasn't that bad. It was only one thing. I only hit once, and we're trying to figure. Like, I don't know. I guess we didn't really get to the bottom of why. We know why she hit. She just reacted because she felt stupid. She thought we were mocking her, or laughing at her for not knowing that it was dinner instead of lunch. Like it was just stupid. It was really the stupidest thing. It was just like it's like when you try to answer for something, we're like, we're about to go, and she goes lunch, and we go, no, mama, it's dinner. And then she like, what? Bam! She just like, I don't, yeah, I don't know, man. We
How much?
talk,
How,
we
how much
talked her
does?
through it.
How
Huh?
much does? How much does like tone affect her? Because there's some people who are just more sensitive than others, and
She's
if your tone is off,
That's
if it
her.
makes it, then it can turn a whole different thing.
That's her 100%. My daughter has an issue with tone. Even with noise, like certain pitches and noises bother her. So that's definitely her. But the problem is that I don't want to be too sensitive to that because A, you can't control noise and tone really
Yeah.
around you. B, we're Latino, bro. Like like I already have a problem trying to get my wife to understand how I talk. I'm not gonna start. My daughter, you're half Cuban. You got to be half this too. You got to understand this. Like you gotta be okay and not get offended by
Right.
people who speak a certain way. But yeah, no, my daughter definitely gets affected by tone, and yeah, I don't know, man. It was wild, man. I'm just thinking. I wonder if we live in a world where people do actually like look at something like that and start to like, will call the cops on you, or will tell security, or
I
will.
wouldn't put it past people these days.
And you should, and as
Yeah.
you should, because shit happens. But then now I feel like we live in those crazy societies where like the authorities go overboard too when they get called on those situations.
Yo, it's tough, man, because like And it's all circumstantial too, because like I think there's room for a parent to reprimand their kid, within reason and like be stern and try to have them do the right thing. And in the court of public opinion, like again, and in a lot of cases, rightly so, because of how screwed up, society is. You can't. Like you have to be that paranoid as a parent to be able to do the things you got to do under covers almost. Like you can't really do it out in the open. And for people like me, I mean, not no more, but back in the day, like I would snap and I would react and not really be thinking about that kind of shit. So if I'm talking to my kid in a stern manner in public, very easily somebody could be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Or like if they're pulling away from me, I'll get a little more aggressive and pull toward me so that
Mm-hmm.
they can come and move in the direction we're trying to go. And something as simple as that, you have all sorts of issues.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was tough. And my son, he just stayed quiet. He was just like, I'm hoping that it's a learning experience for him and not negative where he's like, oh, definitely we gotta use her as the template for him, like where she doesn't get things and there has to be repercussions. Like, I mean, the repercussion for her, and this is where me and my wife kind of, maybe I shouldn't have spoken about it in front of my daughter, but I was trying. I wanted to like, while it was fresh, let my daughter know this is the repercussion. This was what the penalty was for this, and what it was is that on the weekend she gets to play her Nintendo, and she's really into it, and she plays Super Mario on there a lot. And I told her, you can't have it for 2 weekends. And she's like, I think my wife was like, two might be too much. I'm like, nah, two. She hit you twice, two times, two
Mm,
weekends, and it's just the weekend, so she needs it 2 weekends because one weekend was that, like, and she threw a little fit and all that. But then my wife in that conversation says because she had to get her ready for some. I think it was something at night. Get her ready. She had to do homework or something. So my wife was kind of upset that I brought it up at that moment
mm.
because she's like, I don't want her to get alterada now, like get upset now. And so she, to like calm her down, goes, "Oh, but don't forget you have your iPad on the weekends. Also, she's allowed to look at her iPad." And I'm like, "Don't
Killed
let
it.
her feel like, oh, it ain't that bad, you know."
Yeah.
But I guess that was my bad for bringing it up at that point. But I wanted to bring it up before because the next day was a school day. I felt like I had to bring it up before the end of the weekend. It was all still fresh, so
Yeah.
there was no winning in that.
So here's two questions for you. One, how was it uncomfortable? Is it uncomfortable like when your mom is there and this type of stuff is happening?
Ooh.
And then two, does she chime in at all, like on the side or anything like, oh, you should do this or you should,
In this situation, and as angry as well, I mean, I didn't go too crazy, but because if I had been my wife and I was by myself, I probably would have got more crazy. But in the car, I was giving her like, that tongue lashing. I was just
yeah,
saying all kinds of shit. And my mom was just quiet as kept. She
right.
just almost like it's none of my business. I'm gonna let you do it. But my mom be saying some slick ass shit sometimes. Like oh, like in my like in my day, kids wouldn't do like that, or I don't know, like in Spanish, she'd be saying certain things about like
Mm.
that there's some way that we're raising the kids that they act a certain way. And and she says that with a bunch of shit. Even how, and as often as she sees it, she goes, "Oh, grandparents get to see their kids way more often." I'm like, "Well, come over to the crib whenever the fuck you want, then." Like, fuck. You see her once. You can see your grandkids once a week. Most grandparents don't even see them that many times.
Right.
I love that shit, bro. I mean, I don't love it. I love that you're sharing that because it's the same kind of shit that.
Yo, and it's shit, and my mom and it gets under my skin because I'm just like, man, that ain't shut the fuck. Like I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
you
to my
want to you
mom,
want
but
to
I mean, my
say
mom
all
like, shut the fuck up.
you want to say all sorts of violating type shit.
But yeah, she be saying some slick ass shit, and it makes you feel like a bad parent because you're like, damn, man, like she's like, oh, I've never seen kids act this, act like that. And I'm like, no, you've never seen kids act like this.
Does she
This
say
is
that in front of your wife, even if she's saying it in Spanish?
no, she doesn't say it
Okay.
often in front of my wife,
Okay.
but she'll say it to me for sure.
Oh, Latino culture,
And then
bro.
and then she'll trade. My mom is funny. She'll trade off of who's worse, like my son or my daughter, depending on how they treat her. So if like, and my kids have this whack ass thing that they do to each other in front of my mom, where they'll be uh, like if one of them gives a little bit of attitude to anybody, but let's just say in this instance, my mom, if they give a little attitude to my mom, let's say my son gives attitude, my daughter will tell my son, "Baby bro, do you love grandma?" And it's like the only right answer is no at that point because he's giving attitude and you're asking. And I don't know, it's like the default answer you have to say no. So he's like, no. And then my mom is like appalled by that. And then, and then she favors the other child that
Mm.
day more. It's just wild, man.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Fun, bro.
Fun times.
Kids. So in your world, guys, that was my weekend.
I have nothing that matches that. So,
You, your son's never given a public breakdown
no,
like that? Like,
nope, never, man.
Cause
wow,
y'all, cause
man.
y'all,
Thankfully, never, man.
cause y'all had the evil eye already trained. You had him trained. So as soon as you give him that look, it
But
shuts
you
it all
you
down.
know what? That's just not his.
It's Zen.
It's probably similar to like your son E, and I'm guessing probably Manny. I don't think we haven't heard of your son flipping out in public. I don't know. My son. He's just thankfully he's never. That's just never been his vibe. So I mean, I've definitely seen. We've been out and with him, and we've seen other kids falling apart and going crazy, and then my wife and I look at each other and we're like, thank God. And then we look at him, we're like, you've never done anything like, thank you. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I'm just thinking like in my world, it was just pretty intense. Not intense, but like a lot of travel over the last like week and a half, more so than I normally do. And so that created a little bit of stress. Because my wife's not used to now having to do everything by herself, and while she's working, and because our kids are a little older, at least the older two, we're still, they're still we're playing that trust game with them, and so we're still able to like challenge them a little bit, like, yo, you might have to stay alone for this period of time. And the way we got it set up, like my son doesn't have a cell phone, like he's got like the watch, the Dick Tracy jump off, and it doesn't have any controls to like open the garage. So one of us always has to open the garage. So I'm in California and I get a call. So I stop everything when one of my kids calls. And unfortunately, I hate doing this because when they call me, I'm already in my mind like on some negative shit. So I pick up a little bit frantic and they can tell. So like immediately, like, no, we're fine. Everything's okay. I'm like, all right, cool. What's up? Oh, can you open the garage or whatever? So, but it's like I feel uncomfortable with that when nobody's home, but at the same time, it's like we're not ready to give them a phone, so this is kind of our proxy. So it adds a little bit of stress to your travels and whatnot, but everything was fine. It's just different routine now.
I finally opened up a bank account for my son, his first checking account.
Nice.
So we did it. I had to go to Vegas for like a 1 day meeting, and so I was there in the morning. And after breakfast, I'm walking through the hotel casino, and my mother-in-law has been passed away for a few years, and she used to love playing the slots. And we'd take her sometimes, and that's what she would do. She'd post up and play the slots. So I'm walking, and I'm like, you know what? Let me go play something in honor of her. And I look around, and I see a dollar machine, and I'm just like, all right, this one's calling me. So I go over, put $20 in. I don't do max bet. I'm just doing it one by one. Go down a little bit, then I come back up, and then I'm starting to go a little higher. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm making a little money, and then I come back down again, and then right around when I crashed back down to my initial 20, I hit max bet, and then I won $200 on
Let's
that.
go.
And I was like, boop, I'm out of here. So
Yeah.
I cashed out, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this 200, and we're gonna open up
Nice.
his checking account so he can start learning how to manage some money here.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Damn. So it's interesting you said that because I was thinking about this and I haven't pulled the trigger on it. So we set up an account for, I still have to set one up for my youngest, but we set up an account for my two oldest. My son, though, he doesn't really even know. Like we put money in for him, but we don't let him necessarily interact or learn
Yeah.
how to utilize it. It's something I need to start doing with him. Like literally, I go to the branch and like, it's how you do this thing, even though it's all digital for the most part, but just so he can familiarize himself.
Yeah,
To
we were able to open an account through our existing accounts, and it's like a family account, but it's so he's got his own, he'll have his own login ID and everything, so he can see the transactions and manage what's going on there, and a debit card to make transactions, like a MasterCard debit card with it. But you can set limits and all that kind of stuff to it. But we were just like, you know what? He needs to start learning how that, like, okay, you want to buy something and you want to buy it with your card, like, where's the new money coming from? You know, that
Right.
kind of thing. So be interesting to see how he picks up on that and if he has more of a, I, I think the idea of him having his card is exciting to him because it's almost like I don't know. It's weird. Like when he has money, but he has either nowhere to put it, or he's got nothing, or he hasn't spent it. It kind of feels like it's just paper as opposed to like no, you could actually be saving it and watching it build up, or you could buy something with it or whatever. So
Hmm. That's
see how
true.
that goes.
And you reminded me of something else too. Both of my oldest kids was like, yeah, I want to invest, like stocks and stuff. And
I
I was
think you
like,
told us this.
yeah, I
I
just
could
never
have
followed
sworn.
up on it. So it just reminded me now. I'm like, shit, I dropped the ball. But that's not my thing. Like not really all that savvy at it. But my boy is like practically a day trader.
Is he? Yeah.
So I told them I was like, yo, we'll set up some time and talk to him and like get you going because why not? If that's what you want to do. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You could do Robinhood, the app.
Robinhood.
That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty. That's easy. I do that on there, and I'm not at all savvy with that stuff.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I haven't messed with it.
It's just whenever
Yeah.
I see like, and you could even watch like every so often like the news, like the when they talk about the stocks and stuff, and or in your leisure, they have a good segments on what stocks to invest in. But you can just get stock advice by just basic things that you're watching, and then the base advice for novice investors is invest in things that you use every day, like companies that you use. Like if you're an Amazon buyer, that's a company you should invest in. If you buy Adidas, you should invest in Adidas. Like
You could also buy crypto on Robinhood as well.
yeah, now you can.
Yeah.
I actually was gonna tell you that you should consider opening. I think everybody should have a little crypto account for their kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, my son's got a little bit he's got we had gotten some friends of ours gave us some old vinyl records, and so I to went to the picked out ones that we were going to keep, and then we went to a record store and then that bought records, and then so we sold the other stuff to the record store, and with that money, then I went and bought a little bit of like
Doge,
crypto. Yep, little Doge, little all that
bit,
shit.
little
Mm-hmm.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just get some Bitcoin, man. That's just the safest bet in Ethereum, man.
Minimal amounts, but something. So
It
That's
ain't going
good.
nowhere, man. And it seems like it might be safer than the dollar, to be honest with you. So, well,
yep.
while we're talking about finances, it's that I don't know over there, but over here, the time of the year where the kids get the chocolates to sell
Oh, I haven't seen that come
for
through
the
yet, but
fundraisers.
should
Mm.
be.
I hate that stuff, man. But this is the first time the kids kind of like, well, maybe I'm the reason for it, but I'm like, oh, we could set up a table in front of the house and sell them, and they got all hype. We did it once, and we did a couple sales, and they like want to do it all the time, and I'm like, nah, I don't like the feeling of like the neighbors are like driving by, and the kids are like,
Yeah.
And then the kid's like, and then I'm like, and then some people feel bad and they'll give us more money than they're supposed to. But I don't know, man. What are you guys' thoughts on those fundraisers? I think those things are weird, man.
I hate them. I can't stand them joints. Because at the end of the day, like,
Well, we end up doing all the work for like
right,
reaching out to people to get them to buy
Well,
shit.
right,
my thing is not
or
even. I don't even want to reach out to anybody. Just buy it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
that's the issue, right? So like, or you just pony up the money and just clear whatever the quota is, and that's it.
Yeah. The only good thing about it would be that, like in your instance, E, where your kids set up the table and were actually selling things on their own out front, like to me, that's like a good learning skill of like, oh, if I have something that I could, just like learning how to be a business person
Yeah.
early on, but
You,
be better if it was for their own, if they were
you know what I
doing stuff on
miss
their own.
that we don't I don't see often anymore in neighborhoods and especially with associations is garage sales. Like when I was a kid, I'm not gonna say I did a lot. I didn't live in a house. We lived in apartments, but oftentimes when I was getting rid of like old toys or stuff, I would go outside in the neighborhood and post up
Set up, yeah.
and sell shit. And then or if somebody else I knew was doing a garage sale, they'd let me come through and I'd bring some stuff. And I always loved doing that because it felt like you're recycling and you're making money. And I'm here looking around the crib. I'm like, look at all these fucking things we don't use, man. I would love like I end up throwing shit away rather than us doing, selling it or repurposing it. I would love to do a garage sale or
Oh
do
man,
garage sales regularly.
Crazy Hood garage sale coming up.
And I think that would teach the kids because then it's like they're learning to recycle,
Yeah.
to get rid of stuff and like, be able to part with things.
Why don't you do that as a family experiment?
We
That
can in our
might.
neighborhood.
Oh, you can't in your neighborhood?
I don't believe so. No, I don't
Oh,
think the
okay.
Oh,
association
because you
allows
have
it.
an association up here. We see that all the time. Like especially in the spring, like people do their spring cleaning. Like you see signs for garage sales everywhere.
Yeah, I would do it in a
That'd be ill
heartbeat,
though.
man.
Like as like
As a family thing to do.
but
Everyone
Like
even
a
everyone
business,
gathers
like a
stuff
thrift,
together.
you
Yeah.
create your own little thrift store.
exact. I'm thinking even like the next generation of crazy hoods type of thing. Like you do like for the kids, but then you set it up as like a thrift joint, almost
Like a
like a
pop-up.
flea,
Almost like a pop-up
Right.
flea.
like a
Yeah.
pop up joint.
The new
Yeah.
version of Crazy Goods 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have your kids in there in the mix, like bartering, trading, selling, whatever. Like these sneaker cons, like them
Yeah.
Yeah.
joints, they're a dope like concept. I like
Yeah,
but
man.
you know what really kills me though, as it relates to like how schools make money and whatnot, when they do like the book sales, or they'll have like gift shops that pop up
Yeah.
every so
Yeah.
often. Bro, like it's not so much about the, it is the cost that irks me, because it's like marked up so crazy. Like my daughter always like, oh, let me get $5 so that I can go buy like a pen. I'm like, yo, if you spending $5 on a pen, I'm failing as a father.
Mhm.
Cause I'm like, there's nothing special about this pen that you need to give them $5. Like if they want a donation, let's give you a donation. But don't come like, and then my daughter, especially her, the youngest, she's like sucked into this whole like, oh, I can't miss out.
My daughter's the same way
I
with that
gotta
stuff.
do this. And it's garbage that
Yeah.
they get in return.
Yeah.
So that irks me.
Like they charge for dressing up differently in school.
Oh yeah, right, because they're in
It,
uniform. I
it's
used
like
to do
a
that.
dollar or two every time, but then it's like you could do it almost damn near every day.
Shit.
So I'm like, what's the point of
Right.
uniforms?
Yeah.
Might as well just charge us a fee for just going to school,
Yeah.
and then the kids could dress however they want.
Yeah.
That's
Listen,
wild.
when I went to Catholic school, there was a dress down Friday, and you had to pay like $1 or something like that to do it. Yeah, we got suckered into that a lot.
Yeah, the fundraising in the school is bananas, man. I'm just like, yo, these schools don't have any money then.
They
'Cause
don't.
every week there's a fundraiser for something. There's the dressing up. This week they have a restaurant to go to that if you eat there, it's a fundraiser. They have Chuck E. Cheese fundraiser. They have a ice cream truck that comes to the school fundraiser. Pizza like it just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Let me find out. These motherfuckers are pocketing that money and going to fucking the Bahamas and having a party
It wouldn't surprise me, bro. Because like, yo, it's a sensibility. Like people want to make their
They're
kids
going to
happy.
hedonism.
Can you imagine? Yo, that'd be crazy. That'd be the wildest story in a while. That
I mean,
broke.
I mean, it would make sense if it's a school where, you know, they don't have a lot of resources and things. Like when my son went to kindergarten, the school that he was in, it was in a lower income area, and so they had to do a lot of fundraisers. 'Cause, I mean, you know, they had like there was times where there's no fucking toilet paper in the bathrooms and all that kind of shit. So you can tell like if you're involved with the school if they're really lacking in the funding.
But wouldn't all public schools work? First of all, we're not in a bad area, like in terms of low income. At least middle class for sure. And wouldn't all public schools get the same funding,
No,
more or less?
I found out that it has to do with, I mean, you know, those school taxes that people pay, and then
Right.
also from like real estate. So if you're in an area where there's not
More affluent.
affluent or there's not a lot of home ownership and things like that, there's less taxes coming in for the school
Right.
in those areas.
I don't see that in Kendall, bro. I feel like a lot of home ownership. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You just might have some you know
And it's a small
Bahama
school.
vacations going on then. So
I don't know what
yeah.
the fuck, man.
All right,
All
guys.
right. Yeah, man.
You know what you said? We just gave fucking toilet paper and paper towels to my son's classroom.
Really?
They requested because my wife goes out of her way and asks,
Yeah.
"Is there anything you need to the teacher?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, paper towels and toilet
Yeah.
paper." And here we go.
No,
Here you
a
go.
lot of times the teachers come out of pocket, bro.
They definitely do.
That is wild to me. But
They-
that's how much they care, and that's how many things are missing. So they try to
don't get
figure
it.
out how to close the gap.
I don't get it.
Well, shout out to all the teachers.
I,
know
I
y'all
might as well go to private school now with this because we're paying.
don't- stuff. Yo, what's worse? Private school teachers get paid less than public school. Yeah,
Really?
a
That
fact.
don't make no sense. Not in these preparatory schools.
Yeah,
Really?
yep. There's one in my town that's like a lot of kids with money. The families got money go there, and the teachers are barely making it.
That don't make any sense. I don't know what the fuck.
Com-
what kind of
compared to
world is
public school. Yo, you
God.
got public school teachers well in the six figures around here, and you got the private school teachers barely breaking the six-figure mark.
this?
Crazy disparity.
All right.
All right, we'll leave you
Hey,
with
guys.
that.
I
Yeah.
think we cracked the code on education today.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Pizza.
Later.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Hmm?